Let's not have much going on. Oh, House Taxation will be called to order. First item of business, since we are an exempt committee, we still take bill requests. Are there any requests for bill introductions? Seeing none? Yes, okay. We will move on to our first item of the business for the day, and that is a hearing on House Bill 2125. And I'll turn to the reviser first for an overview, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2125 would provide countywide retailer sales tax authority for Pawnee County. Under the bill, Pawnee County would have the authority to submit a proposition to the electors to impose countywide sales tax authority in amount up to 1 additional percent and pledging the revenue received therefrom for the purposes of healthcare services and furnishing, and kind of the second caveat, furnishing and equipping county-supported public safety operations deemed necessary by the Board of County Commissioners of Pawnee County, including but not limited to the Sheriff's Department, jail, emergency management, and emergency dispatch services. As this is a dedicated sales tax, revenues received from the imposition of the tax would be retained by the county and expended only for the purposes of the revenue for which it would be pledged. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. Committee, any questions? Representative Sawyer.
Okay. Did I misread something? I thought this wasn't an additional 1%. They were just wanting to change how the current 1% could be used for, add additional. Right now it has to be healthcare, and they want to be able to add like law enforcement stuff.
It's my understanding they might already use it and they want to transition and gain an additional 1%. So I don't know if the current one would drop off or not. That's not really explicitly stated in the bill, but they would get an additional up to 1% sales tax authority then to be used, dedicated for these purposes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, committee?
Chuck has one. Just how would they vote on it?
Representative Smith.
Sorry to ask. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Does the county vote on that to see whether they get the 1% again? Or is it just if we pass it, it goes?
In all these cases, the legislator gives the authority for the county commissioners to then pass a resolution, which then always has to go to the voters. I'm not aware of any instances where the state has dictated a sales tax for the county or the city level to impose the sales tax. The state always just gives them the authority to put it on the ballot to then be imposed at the next election. So,
thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Leader.
Seeing no further questions, thank you again, Adam. We'll now turn to our proponents and welcome to committee Dr. Michael Burdett. I believe he's joining us over WebEx. Are you there, Doctor?
Room, and so I ran up to my office to be here.
Yes. Go there. We've got you now loud and clear.
Okay. You want me to go forward?
Yes, please.
I appreciate you taking the opportunity or the time to listen to Pawnee County on this issue. First off, I want to point out that Pawnee County, this would not increase the tax burden on the local citizens. We have, since 2009, utilized subsection B of 12-187, where the county had instituted a 1% sales tax for healthcare purposes. As set forth kind of in our written response, we have been blessed that our hospital has been somewhat self-sufficient. And so what we're asking is the legislature would give us the authority to go back to our electorate to kind of modify the expenditure power for what that 1% could be utilized. Currently, it's dedicated solely for healthcare. A couple of years back, they took on a countywide EMS, and we found that to be a proper way to fund what's not covered by fee for service. But what we found is that in the kind of the emergency services, that's kind of the most volatile budget item we have from year to year, just by the nature of it. If there's an emergency, you got to take care of the emergencies, and then some years they're not as busy. And so we're just asking the authority to place this on the ballot and let the local citizenry to decide if they want to give the county commissioners the authority to also expend those funds on emergency services.
Okay, are we doing a joint testimony, or we've got two of you on screen here? I didn't
Do
know if
you
you
have
were
something to add
both wanting to speak.
yet?
Yeah, I apologize. We couldn't get the computer down in the commission chambers to cooperate. But as I was listening to the discussion, this is not an additional 1% sales tax. This is taking the 1% that we actually have on the books now and trying to modify that to use that for emergency services, and actually looking to put that to the electorate, hopefully at a decreased level. So we're not adding an additional 1%, we're just modifying the one that we currently have.
Thank you for that clarification. Committee, are there any questions for the testimony? Representative Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the current 1% that you have, is that indefinitely, or will that drop off at some point?
No, when they enacted that back in 2009, it does not have any sunset to it. So it's on the books.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no further questions. Thank you again for your testimony, gentlemen.
And thank you for allowing us to appear by WebEx. We're getting ready to get some snow out this direction. So thank
Sure.
you.
Understand. I do show written proponent testimony from Jay Hall with the Kansas Association of Counties. Is there anyone else wishing to appear on behalf of House Bill 2125 as a proponent? Seeing none, is there any wishing to appear as neutral or opposing testimony? Seeing none, I guess I just had a quick question for the reviser. Since the statute doesn't necessarily repeal the 12187B5 language, this doesn't require that they repeal that or put it in place of. I know that's the intent, but would they essentially have authority in statute to do both if they would choose to do so? And maybe we can do some research on that before we would.
Just quick discussion over here. It's our belief that yes, this would be an additional authority. B5 is an applicable provision to all counties. So this new, which is now B39 for just Pawnee County, would be in addition to that. So conceivably, yes, it would. They both could be applied to the county if they would. So choose.
Okay. Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 2125. Committee, I do want to, that's the only hearing we had scheduled for today. Would like to take a look at the previous bill we heard last week, 2275. This was the Finney County sales tax bill. And I'd see if Reviser would want to provide a quick overview on that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2275 would provide retailer sales tax authority for Finney County. This would provide Finney County authority of 0.5% and would pledge the revenue received therefrom for the purposes of financing the construction or remodeling of a courthouse, jail, law enforcement center, facility, or other county administrative facility. And the revenue generated would be received for the county for that purpose.
Committee, any questions? If none, what are your desires on House Bill 2275? Representative Hoheisel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we pass out HB 2275 favorably. I will add that I do think at some point we need to have a discussion on
I would
giving this
agree.
authority to the counties and stop having these. But I also understand that sometimes shell games are played here, and that's always fun. So with that, I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Representative Sanders with a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. And committee, I usually don't try to work a bill the same day we've heard it, but we have the sales tax bill from 2125 that we just heard. Is there any objection to working that bill at this time? Seeing none, what are the committee's wishes? Representative Hoheisel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we pass out HB 2125 favorably and add that at some point we need to have a discussion about this, given the authority to the communities.
Second by Representative Essex. Any further discussion? Or was it, my apologize, it was Representative Howerton with the second. Any discussion? Representative Kessler?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm still kind of in question about, since it doesn't actually repeal the, what that sales tax is being used for right now, they want to be able to add new ventures out to that. I mean, do we have this worded correctly to where it will override that? Or so we don't have two separate taxes on the bill? Or I mean, on the books?
Right, and that will really ultimately be up to the county commission if they want to retain this, if they decide they want to retain this for the hospital and do an additional, that would be at their discretion. However, that would mean that they would have to have a much higher rate. We can't really repeal the first one because it's still in place. So that's something that, and maybe Mr. Siebers, correct me if I'm stating this wrong, the original authority in KSA 12-187B5 is kind of a general authority for all counties, I believe. It's not specific to Pawnee County. So we can't really repeal that statute. So it would be up to the county commission on whether or not they want to essentially rededicate this. That would be on the ballot measure that they're going to be taking off the 1% for their hospital and then adding up to 1% for the new purpose.
They can word that however they want to, but at the end of the day, if their voters decide, hey, we want a 2% or 2-cent sales tax, that's fine. They can actually do that too. So
That's
it's
correct.
whatever they kind of put. Okay, thank you. Now that I understand it.
Okay. Representative Carlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We still have a cap on what they can do, though, don't we, for local sales tax?
General county authority is up to 1%. If they exceed that,
Right.
then they have to have statutory
So
authority.
that's what they're doing here?
Correct.
Okay, so there is a cap, but when they come in, they can add to the cap. I wasn't sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Representative Long?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we haven't voted on 2125 yet, but is there a reason why these would not be worthy of the consent calendar?
That's certainly, we haven't amended it, so that could be a possibility. I had special plans for 2275 and Representative Pishney, but if we wanted to put this one on the consent calendar, if
So would I make an amendment to do that?
Mr. Chair, I can amend my motion to stick this on the consent calendar.
yeah, and as long as that's okay with the second? Okay. Okay. Okay, so now with the friendly amendment, the motion on the table is to put it on the consent calendar. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Our last bill won't probably be quite as succinct. House Bill 2096 was a bill that we heard a couple weeks ago, and I'll turn to the reviser for a review on that, please.
Excuse me. House Bill 2096 would provide that the Kansas Housing Investor Tax Credit will be transferable from the year that the credit was originally issued. The bill provides that instead of the transfer qualifying quote, beginning in the year the credit is transferred, and quote, the credit will be allowed to be transferred, quote, beginning in the year the cash investment was originally made by the qualified investor. Lastly, the bill would provide in a new subsection that the changes contained would apply retroactively to any tax credits issued for tax year 2022 and thereafter.
Thank you, Adam. Committee, are there any questions? Seeing none, what is the committee's wishes with 2096? Representative Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we pass House Bill 2096 favorably for passage.
Second by Representative Butler. Any further discussion, committee? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion by Representative Francis, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Any one wishing to have their vote recorded? Seeing none, motion carries. That concludes our business for the day, unless there is anything else for the good of the committee. We are off the rest of the week. We're on the floor. Next Monday, we are not in session, so stay tuned for the agenda for next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We are adjourned.